Well, most of us agree that we are a small part of something greater than ourselves. What does it mean to apply that concept to how we live? How can we meet our individual needs while also serving the greater whole? Today, we'll be exploring the meaning of transcendence with guest entrepreneur, Rochester, New York's Len Morrellof, and also singer-songwriter of Nashville, Tennessee, Miss Mary Jennings. I'm your host, Amanda Ashley, and this is Afternoon Cocktail, episode 33, Transcendence. Welcome. Oops. And introducing to you my friend, Miss Nashville, Tennessee. What the heck? Nashville, Tennessee's Mary Jennings. Mary, you there?
Hello, I am here.
I am not. There I am. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Of course, I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you for being a part of our show. So, what are you going to perform for us?
I think I'm going to perform Home first for you today.
Perfect. Take it away.
All right. Do a little zombie apocalypse song for you. Mama, ba-da-do, 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 mama, I am nothing without my thoughts. I am lost. I am lost. I am nothing without my faults. And these lines crossed. And these lines crossed. Where we fall, but get back up again. We can call that home. I am nothing without my tears. I am fearless. I am fearless. I am nothing if I'm not free here with the interference. The interference. My hands are bare, but we are not empty. We can always know, and we will know that where we fall, but get back up again. Well, then we can call that I am nothing without my thoughts. I am lost. am lost. I am nothing without my thoughts. And these lines crossed, and these lines crossed. My hands are bare, but we are not empty. We can always go, and we will know that where we fall, but get back up again. Well, then we can call it and where we fall, but get back up again. We can call that home.
Brilliant, Mary. Love it.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
Can you tell me a little bit? I mean, what's that song about?
Well, that song is called Home. And when I initially wrote it, it was when I was living in New York and watching a lot of Walking Dead. And, it just got me thinking about, well, especially with Walking Dead. If you think about a zombie apocalypse, it's not so much about during any really apocalypse setting, it's not so much about who you are, is not about, and survival is not about things, and it's not about a place. I mean, you can't take all those things with you. And I would even venture to say it's not even about people, because they might turn into zombies. Your sense of home is really a state of mind and who you are, and your ability to survive defines you. So you can make a home as long as you're surviving. And I think, that I've been playing that song a lot more even lately, just because it's kind of true right now, even if you think about it. As long as we just keep on surviving and plowing through, we can still find a sense of home.
Yeah, totally. Really well said. Who are your influences? I mean, let me just state this. I'm such a fan of you. I mean, I remember I love your piano playing. I love your voice. I just remember meeting you like years ago during my travels in Nashville at an open mic, and you just have such a great energy and a genuine energy about you. And your music is very deep and honest, and it's great. You're wonderful. So can you tell us a little bit about your background? I mean, I read that, so you started playing piano when you were 5 years old.
Yes.
And you come from a musical background. Most of your grandfather, your father, they were both musicians. Is that correct?
Yeah, my dad's side of the family especially is very musical. My grandma played piano, and my dad plays bass and can play piano and sing. And my dad actually played bass in my band for a minute. So that
That's
was pretty fun.
cool.
And then my grandfather and my great grandfather, amazing singers. So, music was always around, and we always had pianos. That was kind of like I think the reason why I play piano is that pianos were in every single home that I ever frequented, whether it was either grandparents' house or, in my dad's house, my mom's house. They were just around, some form of piano, even if it was rickety, it was there. So it's like it's common as a sofa. So I think that's what really, and everybody just allowed me to play it, even if it sounded terrible. They were like, it's fine. So that got me into playing it a lot.
I'm always fascinated by musical families because I didn't grow up in one. So it's always interesting to me because and now that I'm raising my young one, I mean, both of us are musicians, and music's very important to us. And we have pianos on every level of our of our house, and our living room is like a disco room. So he's surrounded by music, and I wonder how much of an effect it's going to have on him. Also, I always am like trying to be mindful of the fact that I don't want to push music too much on him, know, because I don't want him to turn his back and be like, oh God, like I was just surrounded by this too much. Did you ever feel that way, like growing up?
No, I mean, it's funny because, again, music was always very welcomed in my house. And, at one point my family got me into piano lessons, but I did not do well in piano lessons at all. Like I still can't read music,
Oh,
not
wow.
even a little bit. I can kind of read charts, but that's it. And that came much later. But, you know, as soon as it became structured, it quit being fun. And so my family was always really great to just be like, yeah, play whatever you want. Just if you, and they never said go play the piano. It was always just like, if I wanted to, I could go do it. So that's, I mean, I have a 4-year-old Eliza, and it's the same thing. Whenever she says, Mommy, can I go play the piano? Yeah, of course, go play the piano. Or can I go play the drums? Yeah, sure, go play the drums. You just let them do and experience and explore it. And then if they ask for lessons, I mean, we might try to get her into lessons at some point, but I don't think we're going to push her on that unless she just wants to.
Sure. My favorite words that come out of my son's mouth, which is very seldom, is "Mom, let's rock out." He says it more to his dad, than he does to me. But
For each other,
yeah,
by the way.
it's so awesome.
They're definitely going to
Oh,
be a band, but, for sure.
I hope so. I would love for him to rock out with us more than
Yeah,
anything. So
definitely.
you've had some commercial success with placement of your songs in. You had a Lionsgate motion picture called The Devil Seed. Also, songs featured on Lifetime's show Dance Moms, a WWE documentary, many other shows and trailers. How does that feel? Does like the excitement begin to wear off as like your resume builds, or is it still
Oh,
just as
it's
exciting?
so cool. I mean, whenever anybody in any capacity wants to use your music for something, it's huge. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a big movie or like somebody's web series. I mean, I'm unbelievably flattered. I have had 2 friends just recently tell me they want to cover my songs, and it gives me the same just joy and, honor that it does to have a song placed in anything. I mean, to me, it's just awesome that people appreciate your music. So no, it never wears off. It never wears off.
It's
I
awesome.
love it. Yeah, I love it. And if anything, I'm just always so impressed by how it's used, because it's not necessarily like if you had asked me 5 years ago when I put out Metamorphosis, did I think that any of my songs would ever be used in a WWE documentary? The answer is gonna be no, but sure, now, yeah, of course. And when I saw it used, I was like, "This perfect placement. It's awesome." So, it just depends.
So do you have an agent that like submits your songs to these like, or are you a fan of any of these like shows? Or I mean, you pretty much don't know, like probably like an A&R representative or somebody that represents you and sends out your music and it just gets picked up or
They,
placed.
they've gotten placed through a lot of different avenues. So the Dance Moms things and the WWE stuff came through Jingle Punks, who have been great to me, and I love that company. They've been awesome. And then I've gotten, other things through a company called Triple Scoop. They've gotten a lot of cool stuff. I mean, I've worked with different companies throughout the years that have gotten placements. Some of them I've just gotten on my own, just from knowing some people and knowing some music supervisors. So it's varied across the board. And I used to go to a bunch of music conferences where I made a lot of connections there, and that helped out a lot. So it's been pretty cool.
Great. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I
it's
bet
been fun.
it's got to feel super good. So today's theme is Transcendence, and I just thought you would be perfect for this theme today because you're so reflective, and a lot has happened to you too that you've kind of transcended from. So in transcendence in its simplest definition is the realization that you're one small part of a greater whole. What role would you say music has played in your own personal transcendence?
I mean, music for me has gotten me through everything. Everything. I mean, I think that it sounds so hokey, right? And I think every musician says, "Oh, I write for my therapy," but I mean, it is the initial purpose for me is that I don't know how to get through things unless I have music. So that's been the initial goal for me always is to write feelings and write to get through things. And a lot of people have asked like why a lot of my material is so dark. when I seem like such a happy and go lucky person. And my answer is I seem like a happy and go lucky person because I get all my dark,
Feelings out. Yeah.
yeah, dark crap out in my music. And then I can function. So, and then, for that to ever be able to help somebody else in their own moments of darkness or sadness, awesome. I mean, that's just a bonus to me if I can ever elevate somebody else's situation.
And I love how candid you are about how therapeutic music has been. I feel the same exact way, and I've been asked that too. I'm a piano player, and a lot of my older stuff was like a little bit darker, a little bit depressing. Hey, could you, write some more happy stuff? And I'm like, well, I wish it were that easy
Right.
sometimes. It's so much easier to write when you're miserable than you are when you are happy.
I always
But
when I'm sad or have something to be upset about. And when I don't, I go navigate to like watching scary movies or sad movies, and then I write about those.
I read that you're a horror flick like fanatic. What's your favorite horror film?
Oh, you can't even ask that. I have no idea what my favorite is. I have a bunch of favorites. Oh man, my abs. I really like The Exorcist because I saw it when I was younger and it scared the what out of me. The original Suspiria is up there for me.
Oh, that's such a great, great movie. I
Uh-huh.
love that movie.
Really up
Yeah.
there. I mean, there's a bunch. I could just keep going on and on and on.
Do you like more of the movie the horror films that are a little bit more like cinematic as opposed to like the slasher films, like, or
There's
you like
a
a kind
place
of help?
for both. I mean, like I
Yeah.
have my favorites that are the slasher films, and my favorite that are like, the suspense. My favorite that are the ghost. I have categories. I mean, I could do a whole like series on just horror movies.
Yeah.
I
I know.
love
I
them
love
so
horror.
much.
I do too. Go watch High Tension. Have you ever seen that
Oh
movie?
yes, of course. High
I
tension's
love that movie. Yeah.
amazing.
It's such a good movie. Like
So
for
good.
a thriller, you guys, if you're also like horror movie freaks like us, like go watch High Tension. It's a
Don't mind
total slasher, very bloody and gory. But I don't know why. I just really love that movie.
a good one.
So the one thing that I thought was so powerful in doing my research about you and reading your bio a little bit, I need you. Could you please share the story of how when you lost your mother, how your loss of your mother became a catalyst for your career in writing and recording,
Sure.
and your father's impact on that
Yeah.
too?
So I have been, I started playing music and writing music when I was like, 15, 16 years old. And both my mom and my dad and everybody were very supportive of that and was playing in little coffee shops in Gainesville, Georgia. But then I went off to college and, continued to do the music thing. But my mom passed away very suddenly when I was 18. And I don't have any siblings, and she wasn't married. And so very much felt, I felt a very heavy weight. 'Cause my mom and I were super connected and best friends, and a huge loss. So I don't really know how I functioned. I went home for like a week and took care of funeral stuff and locked up the house, and then went right back to school. And my dad, kind of talked me through a whole bunch of stuff, and my stepmom. And the summer kind of came around. That was in a March of my freshman year, so of 2001. And then by that summer, I wanted to go back home to Gainesville, Georgia, my mom's house, and I had all these songs, and my dad had basically said to me, you need to do something, you need to get some therapy, or you could record an album because that would probably do the same thing.
That is so awesome. I love
Good
that.
for you. So, I decided to record an album, and have a really. So he has a friend from high school, a guy named Bruce, who lives in Nashville, and big time songwriter, and he was able to connect me with Mark Allen, who produced my first record. That it ended up being 13 songs. I don't even remember now, but it's super angsty, and your typical uh, girl going through anguish album, but it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed, and it felt awesome. And then by the next year, I had a whole nother 12 or 13 songs and did a whole nother one that was like my recovery from that album. And so it was great. And that really solidified that music is therapy to me. I mean, I'm not discrediting therapy. I still go to a therapist too, but I mean, it is a very therapeutic thing as well and helps me get through a lot.
I love that your father did that for you, and that I'm like getting lost again.
There you go.
I love that your father did that. I mean, I just think that's such a obviously music has gotten him through something for him to be like to offer that option to you, you know, like for he's probably at some point in his life turned to music and realized how beneficial it was to have that on his side and to share that with his daughter. That's incredible.
Well, and I think too, he also knew that I was going to know what was best for me too. So he was like, you got to go through this the way you need to go through it. So you lead, which was really cool to do for a 19-year-old daughter to say, you lead your healing. What does that look like for you? And it made a huge difference. So
Amazing.
yeah.
So you're a mother as well. So let's talk about you and your beautiful little daughter. How has she changed your writing, your perspective? I mean, it seems like so after your mother's passing, you said you released another album. So are you releasing albums almost like chapters in your life? And are you working on the next chapter as we speak?
Kind of. I mean, I would say that my releases, they've varied throughout the years. You know, everything that I release is definitely parts of my life. And I think even songs, like I can go through and say, this is what I was going through in this song, and this is what I was going through in this song. When I had Eliza, I went through some postpartum depression, which was hard. And, you know, the early baby phases were tough. So I didn't do as much writing. And then, you know, and I say I didn't do as much writing. I did a lot of writing in some ways, but nothing that I felt like I wanted to produce and get out in the world immediately. And, you know, since then, so like the last album I've put out was in 2015, and then another one in 2016 that was like the remix album of that. And I had Eliza in 2016. So if you like look at my life, I haven't released any of my own personal music. I've released covers since then, since having Eliza. And I think part of that is maybe that my focus has been on her and my creativity has been on her, which it should be. But also I'm just not ready to put it out yet until I'm actually releasing my first song that I've written in August. But you know, it's just been, the focus has been a little bit different. And I've also been happy. This is what I'm talking about. Like when you get happy, I don't have as much to just dump out into an album, right? So I've had a whole lot of songs and I've been sitting on a lot. I have several songs that are produced and I just haven't released them yet because it just hasn't felt right. It hadn't felt like the right time. But they're coming soon because I'm tired of sitting on them. So you can be expecting a lot more from me over the next 6 months to a year probably.
I love it. And then I also noticed you have a second creative venture aside from your music. So you started a diverse line of bolo ties for both men and women. And it's under the label No Sass. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Started making bolo ties initially because I was wearing them. So I used to be the tutu corset wearing artist with t-shirts and, you know, punked out and stuff. And that was fun. And then I just decided, again, right around 2015, 14, 15, like I need to look, I want to change my look. I want it more androgynous. I don't know why, but I'm tired of this tutu thing for me. It's tired. What do I want? And I started wearing like regular neckties and that was cool. And then I went to a yard sale and I found a bolo tie. And I was like, that is cool. I want to wear a bolo tie. So I bought the bolo tie at the yard sale. And then realized that my great grandfather, I'm finding some pictures, who was a wedding singer and like an incredible singer, he used to wear bolos all the time. And I was like, how cool and connected. So I wanted to find more bolo ties. And at the time, couldn't find any cool ones that I was really into, but my mom made jewelry and stuff. So I was like, this is dumb. I can make my own. I'm going to make my own bolo ties. So I started getting antique. I loved a flea market and thrift. So I got my own kind of funky pieces of jewelry and changed them into bolo ties and started wearing them to shows. And then my manager at the time said, "Oh my God, Mary, you should sell those. You should sell those as your merch. Forget t-shirts, forget buttons. Sell your bolos, sell your image when you do shows. When you go on tour, like you should be selling bolos because you wear them." I was like, okay, let's just see. This is ridiculous. Nobody's going to wear bolos but me. I'm the only weirdo. I was not the only weirdo. There were a whole lot of other weirdos that wanted to wear bolos, and they did really well. So I was like, this is silly. So I'm just going to make a whole bunch and start an Etsy store. And then that kind of took off, and turned out there were a lot of people that wanted bolos.
I think it's so cool. I love it. I love that you just kind of submerge your creativity in another outlet. It's great. It's great. And I love that there's history with your family involved. That's so cool. Actually, I had people tell me the same thing. I was selling flowers at some of my
Yeah.
shows for a while. Yeah.
Sell your
I didn't actually hand make them. I'm not that
Oh, whatever.
talented, but yeah, I actually was selling some flowers for a little while. I still have them. I just don't really take them out. But if you want one, guys, I got you covered.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's a great idea because it's not it's even deeper than just a t-shirt with your logo on it, right? It's part of you. It's part of
You.
your image, and that's super cool. Super
Yeah,
cool. I love that.
definitely.
Race
So,
Page is one of these that does something similar. She sells her art. She does so many like cool drawings and things, and she'll sell her art, and it's so cool, so cool.
yeah, I love that. And it also, yeah, it just shows another side of you and what you're capable of creating, which is cool. Very cool. So, Mary, what can we expect next from you? I mean, I know you said you're working on, do you have any like upcoming singles or anything in the works?
I have a song called Shaken Down that will be out in August. I think probably August 10th or 11th. I haven't hit the button on the day yet. So it'll be one of those days. But yeah, early August. And so if you just, stay up on my website or get on my newsletter or whatever, you'll be the first to know. But it'll be out on like Spotify and iTunes and all of that. So that'll be out in August. And I'm starting production on a new song that I don't know which song I'm going to end with, but just new music coming very soon.
Yay! And what's your website?
MaryJennings.com. Super complicated.
Awesome, Mary Jennings. Well, thank you so much for being on our show and for sharing your spirit with us. And we're going to bring back Mary for one more song towards the end to help us close out our show. But before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to today's sponsors, our show sponsors for Afternoon Cocktail Season 2. Electronic Merchant Systems, the Charge Card guys will help you out with any accepting credit card payments. We have Untamed Events, MrRebeccaDodge.com for your party planning needs. Jewish Senior Life, thank you to our seniors and to the staff for supporting our show. Get your pizza orders in for this weekend if you want to make it nice and easy. It's Friday night, pizza with Salvatore's. And thank you to the Sawmill at Blades on University Avenue, Rochester, New York. Check out their menu at bladesrock.com. Len Morrellof, how are you, my friend?
I'm great. How are you doing, Amanda?
I'm awesome. So good to see you. I miss seeing you in life. I really do.
Well, Amanda, you are amazing. I have to tell you, before you even ask me about you, you and Bo are so talented, and more than anything, you're just so kind-hearted. It's just so refreshing nowadays to meet people like you that are so open, kind-hearted, loving, and your little boy is a doll. I just love him.
You're so sweet. Thank you. I mean, it goes right back to you, Len. Like, you're such I think we're kindred spirits for sure. And you're a pleasure to have as a friend, a true friend.
God brings people like that together, whoever you believe he is.
Well, Len, I absolutely. And I know about your story, and it continues to fascinate me every time I hear it, time and again. Can you share with our audience a little bit about you, who you are, and
Sure. I grew up here in Rochester, and with a wonderful sister and brother, mom and dad, and I took the entrepreneurial route, and that was quite contradictory to what my family My dad was just a blue collar guy. My favorite saying from my mother was when I was younger, and I'd say, I'm going to do this someday, or I'm going to do that. She'd say, that's a crazy idea. You can't do that. Just go to work at Kodak like your dad and work 40 years and get your watch and your retirement. And I thought, holy mackerel, that sounds like a sign of death to me. But anyway, great family, but very not entrepreneurial at all, not adventuresome, very averse to risk averse. And as we grew up, I was kind of on my own financially at a pretty young age. Around the age of 17, I worked my way through college. I didn't want to take out a student loan. I worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs. Took me 5 years to get my bachelor's, but I got my bachelor's degree. I got a general science degree because I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Then I realized I wasn't good with blood, so that shot that all out. But I also was pretty good mechanically and engineering wise. And when I graduated, I started working for General Motors here in Rochester, and started my first company. Success is a lot of things to a lot of people, but I think at its essence, it's taking what we do and expressing it. And for me, I wasn't looking to become a millionaire or have $1 million business. Ultimately, my businesses did get to that level. It wasn't about that. I just wanted to be good at something and be the best I could be. I wanted to be appreciated and to be a good servant to my community, my fellow workers, my employees, whatever. And as a young man, I did a lot of soul searching. I think your topic matter, transcendence, is a great topic because, one of the definitions I saw about transcendent is extraordinary or beyond human experience. And whatever you do, whether you're a musician, whether you're a business person, an athlete, a plumber, a restaurant owner, whatever it is, if you transcend the ordinary and create an extraordinary package, a product or service, you're going to succeed. And my quest as a young man was, how do I do that? How do I accomplish that? And I want to share with you how that happened. I sense there is a spiritual component in this. Many people have heard the word karma. That was made popular by some of the past religious leaders. For example, Buddha, born in 560 BC, said self-denial, self-discipline, self-perseverance is important. Confucius, who was born in 551 BC, I remember reading about, he said, be sincere, be honest, be controlled. And then Muhammad, who founded Islam, said Jesus was the greatest of all prophets. And it was ironic because I grew up in a Catholic grammar school, but I really never paid attention to religion. I was more of a man of science. My business was an engineering company. But for the first time, I read the Bible, and 3 things stood out to me. One of the figures in that book said, he said, treat others the way you want to be treated. Don't judge other people. And the greatest among you will be your servant. And I thought, that's a tall order, especially if you're going to take that into the business world, because it's all dog eat dog in the business world, right? Well, I started my first business with 1 duplex. It was a property development company. And over the years, I grew that to now where I have a small group of holdings of industrial space, retail space, storefronts, apartments, I have a cell tower space. While I was building that, I tried to apply these principles and these concepts. And whatever your belief is, it doesn't matter if, Jesus happened to be the one that said that, but whatever your belief is, when you approach life, you approach your suppliers, your customers, your employees, when you approach all with that type of foundation, treat them the way you want to be treated. Don't judge others. If you treat everyone as your friend, it's the best thing to do, because you can't have enough friends in life. And looking out for their interest as well as yours. And the greatest among you will be your servant. That's a statement about customer service. So I started my first company in the real estate, and that slowly grew over the years. Well, then I started a manufacturing company right around the age of, I think I was in my mid 30s. It started with me, and I had 1 employee. We had 1 machine. He ran the machine during the day. During the day, I wore every hat. I was engineering, sales, finance, accounting, manufacturing. At 4:00 in the afternoon, I went on and put on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, and I ran the machine to midnight. So I worked double shifts. It went on that way for about 15 years, because even when the company grew, even when it grew, there wasn't enough revenue generation to afford a manager. So, there was a lot of long hours, but I remember going through that experience. And at the time, I was very naive. I was taken advantage of frequently by some of my customers, some of my suppliers, but I continued to try to strive with those Christian work ethic principles. And, if you behave that way over time, you attract liked individuals, and the companies that you work for will soon discover you, or the venues, whatever your trade, you're in the music world, totally different music world, but the people that'll buy your product will pick up on that, because life is more than flesh and blood. And I'll give you a key example. I was in the business now going on 12, 13 years. I think it was in my mid 40s, working ungodly hours, making tons of sacrifices. There were times when the business went so far down, I had to actually go get a full-time job, take the paycheck, cut it in half, put it in the company to pay my employees, and still went into my company at night and worked for free, basically. So I've been working for a company called Chrysler for years, making prototypes, and I always wanted to get into making production, because everybody knew in our industry that's where the real success, growth, development, and revenue would be. One day I get a phone call from the vice president of Chrysler in Syracuse. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm in trouble. This guy, why would he call me? He says, Len, this is Dave Bonzerato. Well, I shouldn't say his last name on here. Dave so-and-so. He says, how soon can you get here? I said, well, I'm an hour and 20 minutes away. I'll be there in an hour and 20 minutes. So I hang up the phone. By that time, I'd had a half a dozen employees, maybe a little more. My foreman says, what's the matter? You look like you saw a ghost. I said, I think we're in big trouble with some prototypes we sent him. I says, we got a huge problem. They want me to come right away. I says, and they were our biggest account at the time, even though we weren't making production. We were just making onesie twosies. So I get there, I walk into a room, and there's literally 30 people in this room. The president, vice president sitting at the head, all these engineering managers, directors, all these executives are sitting around. He says, we got a huge problem with the product. My prototype manager says, he says, we've had 3 suppliers try to build it. We're building a product for BMW. It's costing us millions of dollars because we're getting rejections. We used to build a part for a 4-wheel drive system that goes into vehicles. They built the whole assembly. We built a piece of it. He says, none of my guys can figure out what's wrong, but the prototype manager said, call this guy Len Morrellof. He's honest as the day is long. He's going to be truthful with you. He's going to treat you like a peer, and he will break his neck trying to solve this problem. He says, can you help us out? So I said, well, I'll try. Make a long story short, I spent all day there, most of the night. At 11 p.m., I met back with him. Now, mind you, I was there at 9:30 in the morning, and that VP was still there at 11 o'clock at night, because this was such a critical issue to the company. I think I solved the problem. I think I know what it is. He says, great. How soon can you make us parts? I said, I can start in 6 to 8 weeks. He says, absolutely not. I need them in 3 weeks. You have to find a way to do it. I said, 3 weeks is impossible. He says, no, it's not. I've heard you've done things for this company. Now, all along, I didn't know any of this. The prototype managers were always telling me, oh, you're not fast enough. Your pricing's too high. They never let on that, they favored the product and the quality we did. So he pulls me aside. He says, listen, he says, can you give me some parts in 3 to 4 weeks? He says, I'll make sure you get the annual contract. He goes, when you bring your pricing in, because back then we used to have to quote these jobs. When you bring your pricing in, he says, you bring it to me first. I want to make sure you make money on this. These guys always beat you up on price. I know that. I'm going to make you successful. You can trust me. Make a long story short, I did everything he said. I didn't go home for days on end to get this done. It was just an exhausting effort, but that contract came to us, and we made product for 20 years, and they made our business $1 million business. And before that, it was like every day I didn't know if we were going to go bankrupt. It was like 14, 15 years of sheer stress, stomach pains, high blood pressure, everything you can imagine. But when I look back and I look at transcendence, the word you're talking about, it's the extraordinary that you do in little things, little ways, with little steps, with individual people, treating them the way you want to be treated. Don't judge others. Be a servant. That's what really propelled our company forward. And I don't know if I helped to answer your question, but I'd be happy to take it on the next one.
No, I mean, yeah, it's a great story. I mean, there's so much to you beyond General Motors too. So like, I want to talk to you. I mean, I know about this, but Worship Warehouse. So this
Sure.
is like your latest venture.
Yep. Yep.
And this is something that you came to me in the gym. We were,
Yep.
at 9 in the morning. You're like, I just feel really compelled. Like I always loved music and something's calling me in this direction. And, I know you know music. I know you know social media. Like, how can you help me? And there was nobody in the world that I would have been happier to help. But can you tell us a little bit? Because like when I think of the Worship Warehouse, I can't think of a more beautiful example of today's theme.
Okay.
What
Well,
compelled you to do this, to convert?
yeah.
So you basically converted your manufacturing warehouse into an event space. Could you tell us more
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of interesting. Well, in 2017, I was diagnosed with throat cancer, so I had to go in for surgery and radiation. And, it all turned out well. But I remember in there, you have some time to think sometimes when you're in a hospital for a few days. And I remember, just this overwhelming awareness of how my whole life has been one miracle after another, one obstacle and one miracle solution, one obstacle and another solution, and I was just so grateful for that, that I remember just thinking in my soul, and God, whatever you want me to do with the rest of my life, I'll do it. I've tried to live it as good as I can. And then this notion came in my head, to have a barbecue for the neighborhood, because my warehouse where we were manufacturing is in the city. It's on the border of a good area and not so good area. And I've hired people from the neighborhood, a lot of minorities, and homeless people and recovering alcoholics, and it's been a real interesting experience. In fact, I even built a section of my company for people like that, where we could train them, and I could work with them one-on-one to help them move out of their bondage. And we had some successes and some that didn't. But needless to say, I just got this strong. I don't know. I'm not a zealot or a fanatic, but I feel that God speaks to us in our spirit in many ways. And with me, it's just like it's an interrupted thought, a strong interrupted thought that doesn't go away. Well, I thought, okay, have a barbecue, have an outreach, do something for all the neighborhoods. I was going to do that. Well, then the thought came, convert your space so that, long story short, you can have music. And I thought, well, I'm not a musician. I can't even, what do I? Well, out of nowhere, a friend that's a neighbor, through an interesting sequence of events, and the sake of time, I'll just say, reached out to me as a Christian blues band. He offered his services. And then I got the premonition that, close your business now. It's time to close it down. I want you to put more time into helping others. You've helped your employees, you've helped your tenants, but now I want to take you in a direction that's going to be more different than what you're doing in the past. So, and I started negotiating with God. I said, are you sure? I mean, I had a company. It took me 25 years to build up. It was very profitable. I had employees. Well, make a long story short, I found them all jobs. I closed the company, and we did our first Christian outreach event, where we had Christian music, concert, we fed, there was about 225 people. We fed people. I financed it all. I converted my whole space. I spent many days on my hands and knees repairing concrete floors, painting walls. I had some of my employees helping with some of the work, and we just built a really cool space. So I'm thinking, well, I got this whole venue space now. And then the leader of the band says, Len, you got to give a message, and for me, I wasn't a religious person when I was younger. I mean, I went to a Catholic school, but it was sort of a thing you learned. It was sort of ceremonial. But at a young age, right around the age of 18, I had a moment in my life, like all of us have, where it was I was struggling severely with something. And I just remember, asking, I remember reading, and it said, Jesus said, I stand at the door of your heart and knock. If anyone opens it to me, I'll come into him. And I thought, it's got to be the weirdest thing anybody could say. Like, how is he going to come in? I mean, I just don't get that, So, but several months later, I had a horrible experience, and I just got on my knees and asked him to come in. And I can't explain it to you, but I'm sure you have sort of an idea, because both you spoke of the spiritualness of your music, and music in the Bible is always referenced to a closeness to God. It's more direct than praying, than talking, and anything is the music, the psalmist, to read the Psalms, it speaks to that. At any rate, so I asked him, and it was a profound experience, changed my whole life. That's when I read these principles that I gave you earlier. And these principles work whether you're a Christian or not a Christian. So I ended up turning my business into an outreach center that provides Christian concerts, free food, and a brief message and introduction to Christ. But we welcome everybody. We welcome gay, straight, bi, transgender, African American, white, Caucasian. I mean, every race, everybody is welcome. What's resulted out of that, because I didn't feel led to necessarily become a pastor of a church, but what's resulted out of that is I've met several area churches, and now been in a position to help some of those churches. One of the spaces in my warehouse has been converted into a church. I met a black pastor named Pastor Troy Wallace, who needed a space, and we got together and I made something available to him, and he said, hey, here's what I'd like to do. And so we converted one half of the space into a church. The other is still open for concerts and outreach. And it's just a manner or a way for, I believe, myself and others, because it's kind of taken on a life of its own, to really just be helpful. I mean, today there's just too much negativity today. If you're trying to start something, if you're trying to be successful, you need to believe the story. You need to believe that America is a place where anybody can succeed. Anybody can become successful. You need to believe that. If you don't believe that, you're almost doomed to failure. There's so much negativity today. Oh, the media is all fake news. America's a bad country. Only rich people succeed. The world's going to end in 10 years. We can't control any of that, and only God knows the truth of all that. Some of it might be right, some might be wrong. I don't know. But I know as an individual, you've got to surround yourself and be careful who you listen to. Focus on positive. Go into your soul and just follow some basic code of ethic principles in everything you do. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Don't judge others. Have a servant's heart. Take other people's interests. And you know what? Success will follow you. Prosperity will follow you. People want to be around extraordinary people. Businesses want to do business with extraordinary people. Restaurants want to interact with musicians that are extraordinary. They may not even know it, but they do. And when you rise up above all of the normal negativity in life, your reputation precedes you and you'll be in demand. I also was going to give you some practical tips for somebody that is looking to start a business. And do I have a couple more minutes?
Yeah, we gotta close out. I hate to cut you short, Len,
No,
because
that's
I
okay.
feel like I could talk to you forever and ever,
Well,
and you're
it's
such a
okay.
brilliant mind. But we are running out of time, and we got to bring Mary back for one more song. But Len, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and giving to our community the way you have. And can you just tell us for our audience, where they could find out a little bit more information about you?
Yeah, the Worship Warehouse, we do have a website, but the Facebook page is the best. It's Worship Warehouse ROC. Worship Warehouse ROC is the Facebook page. And Amanda knows a lot about that because she was the one that basically created it, giving credit where credit's due, as well as the website, theworshipwarehouse.com. Make sure you put the word "the" in there and you can read about it.
I just helped you a little bit.
Yeah, right.
I don't need any credit. But Len, I love you. Thank you so much. I hope to really see you again soon. And let's bring Mary back for one last song. Oh,
all right. Thank you. And thanks so much. I'm humbled to be on your show, Amanda, and we will get together soon, I hope.
Yes, I hope so. Hey, Miss Mary, you ready to rock out?
Yeah. I don't know if, I'm going to play one more for you. Thank you again for having me on as well. And it was so great to meet Len through this too. This is just too cool. What a great show you put on. So thank you for us, and thank you for all of the people that you have on this awesome show. This is great. This is really, really great.
Thanks, Mary.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. I think this one speaks for itself.
numbers rise in front of all our eyes. They're just numbers to me. But one was someone's mother, two was someone's son, three a newfound lover who had just begun to live. And now that's over, and all for what? Well, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna stay patient. I'm gonna wait till I can say their names. To isolate is to go insane. Who can live this way? But what happens when the next one to go's your friend? What will you say then? One was someone's mother, two was someone's son, 100,000 later, and we have just begun to lose. This loss is forever. And all for what? And I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna stay patient. I'm gonna wait till I can say their name. What was it all worth to give it now? What was it all worth to give it now? If you can say their names right out loud without fear, then go out. If you can say their names without tears right out loud, then go out. If you can say their names right out loud, free and clear, then go out. But I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna stay patient. I'm gonna wait till I can say their names.
Incredible. Make sure you guys check out Mary's new single. Will be released in August. She is on Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter too, Mary, I'm sure.
All the
She's
things.
on all the social media poisons. You
Yeah.
can find her and also at her own website, maryjenningsmusic.com. I'm saying that right?
Just maryjennings.com.
maryjennings.com. So
maryjennings.com.
Mary is a
Thank-
movie star.
she sure is, right? You both are, I just love you both. Thank
Well,
you so much.
Love you
And-
back. You're the best.
And thank you. So let me end the show on a few closing words. So today's theme was transcendence. Self-transcendence simply begins with bettering ourselves holistically, physically, mentally, and spiritually. We are all gifted unique strengths, skills, and minds, which, if nurtured and applied, can positively contribute to the lives we choose to lead and those lives which we touch. So ask yourself this: What drives me to want to make an impact? And then follow that question up with, how can I use my gift, my strengths, and unique skills to better myself and to motivate me to do something that can in turn better those around me? The happiness and peace that self-transcendence brings is the proof in the pudding that taking care of ourselves just serves the greater whole. Because when each part of the greater whole is well maintained, the whole benefits. When we open ourselves up to the good in life, we cannot help but be changed by the experience of it. So keep your mind and your heart open to self-transcendence, and that is the very first step and the most vital step to actually achieving it. Huge thank you to today's guests again, Mary Jennings and Len Morrellof. Thank you to Boya Productions for making our set and lights look fabulous. And also to our sponsors. We have Electronic Merchant Systems, Untamed Events, Salvatore's Pizzeria, the Sawmill, Eplades, and the Jewish Senior Life. Also, Compeer Rochester. Thank you so much for your support. And we will be back here with a brand new show this Monday. And you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and positive. See you next time.